In a packed stadium brimming with excitement, cameras flashed endlessly, and fans roared at the top of their lungs. The energy was electric as people eagerly awaited the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo, the football legend who had inspired millions worldwide. In the middle of this chaos, a small boy named Leo sat on the sidelines, almost invisible in the overwhelming crowd. His oversized jersey hung loosely on his tiny frame, nearly brushing the ground as he fiddled with the laces of his worn-out sneakers. Leo didn't try to draw attention to himself. To most people, he looked like any other child tagging along with a parent for an unforgettable day. His father, an avid Ronaldo fan, had brought him along to witness greatness. But Leo wasn't staring at the crowd, the cameras, or even Ronaldo's massive poster hanging high above the field. His eyes were fixed on the football resting at his feet. To those glancing his way, he was just another kid. His small stature and shy demeanor didn't stand out. But if anyone had paused for just a moment to really watch, they would have noticed something remarkable. The way his fingers tapped rhythmically on his knees as he sat. The subtle focus in his gaze as he stared at the ball, almost as if he could see plays and moves that no one else could. Behind those sparkling eyes lay a talent that defied logic, a gift that no one in the crowd, not even his father, fully understood. And then it happened. The murmurs of anticipation in the crowd swelled into a deafening roar. Cristiano Ronaldo, the man of the hour, stepped onto the field. Towering, confident, and commanding, his presence sent waves of excitement rippling through the stadium. The chants of Ronaldo, Ronaldo, echoed in perfect unison, a chorus of admiration for the living legend. People reached out, desperate for a handshake, an autograph, or even a fleeting glance in their direction. Leo's father stood up, cheering loudly alongside the crowd. But Leo stayed seated, his attention now divided between the football at his feet and the figure of Ronaldo striding confidently across the pitch. The boy's small hands brushed the worn leather of the ball, as if drawing strength from it. Amidst the sea of noise, chaos, and adoration, Ronaldo scanned the crowd. He had grown accustomed to the frenzy, the banners bearing his name, and the countless faces that idolized him. But today, something, or someone caught his attention. His sharp eyes locked onto an unusual sight. Near the edge of the field, a small boy, barely noticeable amidst the crowd, was juggling a football. Not in the playful, clumsy way children often do. No, this was different. The ball moved as if it were glued to the boy's feet. Tap after tap, it barely grazed the ground. Ronaldo paused mid-stride, his curiosity piqued. For a moment, the crowd's noise faded into the background. He watched as the boy transitioned from juggling with his feet to balancing the ball effortlessly on his knees, then onto his head. The moves were fluid, almost instinctive, as if the ball were an extension of his body. No one else seemed to notice. The cameras were trained on Ronaldo, the fans too focused on capturing every second of his presence. But Ronaldo couldn't look away. Who was this boy? Leo, oblivious to the attention, continued playing. His face was a mix of concentration and quiet joy, the kind of joy that comes from doing something you love without needing an audience. To him, the stadium might as well have been empty. The ball was his world, and he was its master. Ronaldo took a step closer, his mind racing. In all his years of playing, he had met countless young talents. But there was something about this boy's movements that felt different. Natural. Unforced. Almost extraordinary. The moment lasted only a few seconds before Ronaldo was pulled back into the limelight by the cheers and chants of his fans. But those few seconds left an impression he couldn't shake. Meanwhile, Leo's father, unaware of the silent connection that had just formed, leaned down to his son. "Look, Leo. It's Ronaldo. Isn't this amazing?" Leo nodded absent-mindedly, his attention still on the ball. For him, this wasn't just a day to watch a legend. This was a day to play. As the event carried on, Ronaldo couldn't help but glance back toward the boy every now and then. There was a spark there, a flicker of potential that he had only ever seen in the greatest players. But for now, the world still saw Leo as just another 5-year-old. Small, quiet, unassuming. Little did they know, the boy in the oversized jersey would soon change everything. The stadium continued to roar with life, its every corner buzzing with energy. Fans waved flags, their vibrant colors creating a spectacle against the clear sky. Vendors shouted, selling snacks and memorabilia, and photographers scrambled to capture every expression on Cristiano Ronaldo's face. The football legend stood in the center of the field, smiling and waving, exuding an effortless charisma that drew everyone's gaze. But not everyone was entirely focused on him. Leo, still sitting quietly on the sidelines, now began to lift the ball with a series of gentle taps from his toes. He kept his movements small at first, testing the ball's weight and rhythm, as if he were syncing with it. Tap. 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 The ball seemed to float, obeying his every command. Without looking up, Leo glanced toward the field where Ronaldo stood. His young mind wasn't thinking about fame or recognition. He wasn't pondering what the crowd thought. All he wanted was to play. Leo, pay attention. Ronaldo is right there, his father said excitedly, nudging his son. Leo glanced up briefly, smiled at his father, and then returned his focus to the ball. His father sighed, shaking his head. He loved his son dearly, but sometimes he wished Leo would be more outwardly enthusiastic. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, after all. What his father didn't understand was that Leo's enthusiasm wasn't missing, it was just directed inward. The boy wasn't there to cheer for Ronaldo, he was there to learn, to observe, and maybe even to test himself. Ronaldo, on the other hand, couldn't ignore the nagging thought in his mind. He had been in countless events like this one, surrounded by adoring fans and young players looking for a moment to impress him. But there was something different about the boy in the oversized jersey. It wasn't just the skill he had displayed moments ago, it was the quiet intensity, the way he seemed entirely at ease with the ball. The event carried on, with Ronaldo moving to different areas of the field to greet fans and pose for photos. Every now and then, his eyes would dart back to where Leo sat. Each time, he noticed something new. Leo was now practicing quick flicks and turns, keeping the ball moving in a controlled dance. His small feet moved rapidly, creating patterns with the ball that seemed far too advanced for his age. Ronaldo smiled to himself. That's not beginner's luck, he thought. Finally, during a break in the event, Ronaldo approached one of the event organizers. "Who's the kid over there?" he asked, nodding toward Leo. The organizer glanced over, frowning in confusion. "Which one?" "Oh, the little boy sitting by the benches." "No idea. Probably just someone's kid." "Why?" Ronaldo chuckled, shaking his head. "No reason," he said, though his curiosity only deepened. As the afternoon progressed, a demonstration match was set to begin. Ronaldo would play a quick game with a few local players, showcasing his skills while giving the crowd a performance to remember. The announcer's voice boomed over the loudspeakers, introducing the players. But while the crowd cheered for the lineup, Ronaldo's mind wandered. He glanced back toward Leo, who was now standing, the ball balanced perfectly on his head as he walked in slow, deliberate steps. The boy's father clapped politely, but it was clear he didn't fully grasp the significance of what his son was doing. Something about the scene stirred something in Ronaldo. He had been Leo once, a young boy with a love for football so deep it consumed him. Back then, no one had noticed him either. It wasn't until he got his first real chance to prove himself that people began to understand what he could do. Ronaldo turned to the event organizer again. "Hey," he said, his voice firm. "I want the boy to join us in the game." The organizer blinked in surprise. "The boy? But he's just a kid, Ronaldo." He's not part of the program. I don't care, Ronaldo said with a grin. Trust me. I think this will be interesting. Leo was still lost in his own world, dribbling the ball in a tight circle, when a shadow fell over him. Looking up, he found himself staring into the face of Cristiano Ronaldo. Hey there, Ronaldo said warmly, crouching down to Leo's level. You've got some pretty good moves, kid. Leo froze, his small hands gripping the ball tightly. He had seen Ronaldo 1,000 times on TV, heard his name spoken with reverence, but now he was here, right in front of him. Thank you, Leo stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. Ronaldo smiled. What's your name? Leo, the boy said, his shyness evident. Well, Leo, Ronaldo continued, how about you come play with us? You think you're up for it? Leo's eyes widened in disbelief. He looked back at his father, who was equally stunned. His father quickly nodded, giving him an encouraging thumbs up. I think so, Leo finally said, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. Good, Ronaldo said, standing up. Let's see what you've got. The crowd murmured in confusion as Ronaldo led Leo onto the field. Whispers of who is that kid, and why is he out there, rippled through the stands. Some laughed, thinking it was a light-hearted joke. Others were annoyed, believing the boy would slow the game down. But Ronaldo knew what he was doing. As the whistle blew, the game began. The professional players took it easy at first, passing the ball back and forth with little effort. Leo stood off to the side, unsure of how to join in. But then the ball came to him. Go on, kid. Ronaldo called out, his voice booming with encouragement. Leo hesitated for only a moment before instinct took over. With a swift touch, he brought the ball under control and began to move. His small frame zipped across the field, dodging a defender with a quick turn. The crowd gasped as he flicked the ball over another player's head, catching it smoothly on the other side. For the first time, the murmurs in the crowd turned into cheers. Ronaldo watched with a knowing smile. He could see it now, the raw talent, the instinct, the love for the game. Leo wasn't just playing, he was living the game, every movement precise and purposeful. The other players, now taking him more seriously, moved in to challenge him. But Leo didn't falter. He dribbled past one, then another, his speed and agility making up for his small size. Finally, he found himself face to face with Ronaldo. The crowd held its breath. Ronaldo grinned, lowering his stance. Let's see what you've got, Leo. With a flick of his foot, Leo sent the ball rolling toward Ronaldo, only to pull it back at the last second. Then, with a burst of speed, he slipped the ball through Ronaldo's legs, a perfect nutmeg. The crowd erupted in disbelief. Ronaldo froze for a moment, then threw his head back in laughter. That's my boy, he shouted, clapping his hands. Leo beamed, his confidence growing with every cheer. For the first time, he wasn't just a boy in an oversized jersey. He was a player, standing shoulder to shoulder with one of the greatest of all time. And the world was finally beginning to notice. The murmur of the crowd was filled with mixed reactions as Ronaldo casually tossed the ball toward Leo. Some laughed, others whispered, and a few even shook their heads in disbelief. A 5-year-old, no matter how talented, couldn't possibly hold his own against Cristiano Ronaldo. To them, it was a joke, a momentary distraction before the real show began. Leo, however, didn't see it that way. The boy caught the ball with his foot, letting it roll across his toes with the kind of control that came naturally to him. He looked up at Ronaldo, his small face a mix of determination and curiosity. This wasn't just a game. For Leo, it was a chance to show what he could do, even if no one believed in him. But the crowd wasn't kind. Is this for real? An older man scoffed, crossing his arms. Ronaldo's going to crush that kid. Cute tricks earlier, another onlooker sneered. But he's no match for a pro. The kid's out of his league. Even the announcer hesitated, unsure how to frame what was happening. Well, folks, it looks like Ronaldo is about to face a very young challenger. Let's see how this plays out, he said, his voice filled with awkward humor. Leo heard every word. He didn't show it, but the comments stung. Yet, instead of retreating, he gripped the ball tighter between his feet. He glanced at his father, who was nervously wringing his hands. "You can do this, Leo," his father called out, though his voice wavered with doubt. Ronaldo stood a few paces away, hands on his hips, a slight smirk playing on his lips. Though he admired Leo's composure, he couldn't help but be skeptical. He'd played against the world's best defenders, faced challenges that pushed him to his limits. What could a child possibly bring to the pitch? "All right, Leo," Ronaldo said, his voice calm but firm. "Let's see what you've got." The crowd fell silent as Leo stepped forward, the ball nestled at his feet. He stared at Ronaldo, his heart pounding in his chest. Despite the cheers and jeers surrounding him, all he could hear was the steady rhythm of his own breathing. As the game began, Ronaldo moved lightly, taking on a defensive stance. He wasn't planning to go all out, there was no need. But he was curious to see how this little boy would approach the challenge. Leo started slow, inching forward with the ball, his small frame dwarfed by Ronaldo's towering presence. Ronaldo extended a leg to intercept, but Leo quickly changed direction, the ball slipping just out of reach. The crowd chuckled, assuming it was luck. But then Leo did it again. And again. Each time Ronaldo moved to steal the ball, Leo was one step ahead, his quick feet darting like a hummingbird. Ronaldo's expression shifted from amusement to concentration. The boy wasn't just reacting, he was thinking, planning, predicting Ronaldo's movements with an uncanny accuracy. "That kid's fast," someone muttered in the crowd. "Yeah, but Ronaldo's just warming up," another replied. Ronaldo decided to turn up the heat. He lunged forward, his long strides covering the distance in an instant. But as his foot reached for the ball, Leo flicked it sideways, spinning on his heel and leaving Ronaldo grasping at air. The crowd gasped. "That was a clean move," a young fan exclaimed, his voice cutting through the murmurs. Now, Ronaldo was fully engaged. No more holding back. He tightened his defense, his movements sharper, faster. He pressed Leo harder, forcing the boy to retreat toward the sideline. But instead of panicking, Leo adjusted, using the limited space to his advantage. Then it happened. With a quick feint, Leo nudged the ball forward, drawing Ronaldo closer. At the last moment, he performed a perfect nutmeg, slipping the ball between Ronaldo's legs and darting past him. The crowd erupted in shock, their disbelief palpable. "No way," someone shouted. "Did that kid just nutmeg Ronaldo?" Even Ronaldo paused, momentarily stunned. He turned to see Leo sprinting toward the makeshift goal, the ball still under perfect control. For the first time, a flicker of genuine respect crossed his face. Despite the impressive display, skepticism lingered in the air. The crowd wasn't ready to embrace what they were seeing. "He got lucky," a man muttered. Ronaldo wasn't expecting it. "Yeah, let's see him do that again," another chimed in. Leo didn't hear their words, but he felt their doubt. It hung over him like a shadow, heavy and unyielding. Yet, he didn't let it stop him. If anything, it pushed him harder. Ronaldo, now fully focused, took possession of the ball. The crowd cheered, certain that the game would quickly return to its expected balance. But Leo didn't back down. He closed in on Ronaldo, his small frame a blur of motion as he pressed for the ball. Ronaldo moved with precision, his years of experience evident in every touch. He danced around Leo, using his superior reach and strength to keep the boy at bay. Yet, no matter how many times he tried to shake him off, Leo stayed close, relentless in his pursuit. "He's not giving up," a woman in the front row said, her tone softening. The tension grew as the game continued. Ronaldo's moves became more elaborate, more deliberate. He executed step-overs, spins, and feints, testing Leo's reactions at every turn. And while the boy couldn't match Ronaldo's physicality, his quick thinking and sharp reflexes kept him in the game. As the match wore on, something unexpected began to happen. The crowd, once dismissive and amused, started to lean forward, their expressions shifting from mockery to fascination. "Okay, this kid's got something," one man admitted, nodding. "Yeah, but can he keep up?" another replied. Leo didn't notice the change. He was too focused, his entire world narrowed to the ball at his feet and the challenge before him. Sweat dripped down his face, his breaths coming in quick bursts. But his determination never wavered. For Ronaldo, the boy's resilience was a revelation. Every time he thought he had Leo cornered, the boy found a way out. Every time he applied pressure, Leo adapted. Ronaldo began to see flashes of something familiar in the boy, something he hadn't seen in years. It was the raw, unfiltered love of the game. Finally, Ronaldo stopped, holding up a hand. The whistle blew, signaling the end of their one-on-one match. The crowd erupted into applause, their earlier doubts replaced with genuine admiration. Ronaldo walked over to Leo, his face a mixture of exhaustion and pride. He crouched down to the boy's level, resting his hands on his knees. "You've got something special, kid," he said, his voice low but sincere. Leo's eyes widened, his chest swelling with pride. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the cheers. The crowd's reaction was still mixed, but a new narrative was beginning to form. Leo wasn't just a cute kid with a few tricks. He was a player with potential, someone who had earned the respect of one of football's greatest legends. Yet, amidst the applause and growing admiration, there were still skeptics. "Let's see him do that in a real game," someone muttered. But for now, Leo didn't care. He had faced Cristiano Ronaldo and held his own. And for the first time, he felt like he belonged. Ronaldo extended his hand toward Leo, who hesitated for a brief moment before accepting it. The crowd's applause softened, but the tension in the air was far from gone. The skeptics' murmurs persisted, casting a shadow over the little boy's remarkable performance. Some saw the exchange as a pat on the back, nothing more than a polite gesture from Ronaldo to the boy who dared to challenge him. Others, however, began to see the spark, something intangible yet undeniable. Ronaldo turned to the crowd, raising his hands to quiet them. "You saw it, didn't you?" he called out, his voice cutting through the chatter. "This boy, this kid, just nutmegged me. That's not luck. That's talent." The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some cheered, while others smirked in disbelief. "Sure, Ronaldo," someone shouted. "You let him win." Laughter rippled across the stands, but Ronaldo's expression hardened. "Let him win." Ronaldo repeated, raising an eyebrow. He gestured toward Leo. "Do you think I would ever let anyone do that? Even a 5-year-old?" He turned to Leo and knelt down, placing a firm hand on the boy's shoulder. "Leo didn't just play well, he earned it. And now, I want to see what more he's capable of." Leo looked up at Ronaldo, his small chest rising and falling with deep breaths. The validation from his hero felt unreal, but there was still a gnawing sensation inside him. Despite Ronaldo's words, the crowd wasn't fully convinced. And Leo, though young, understood what it meant to have doubters. He'd seen it before on the playground, at local matches, even in his own father's hesitant encouragement. The announcer, sensing an opportunity to salvage the audience's wavering enthusiasm, chimed in. "Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Ronaldo is ready to raise the stakes." How about we see this young prodigy take on a real challenge? The crowd roared, the energy shifting again. The announcer continued, a 5-a-side match, Ronaldo's team versus Leo's team. Who's ready for some action? The suggestion seemed to electrify everyone. Players began to assemble, a mix of local talents and a few semi-professionals who had been invited to participate in the event. Ronaldo turned to Leo with a grin. You up for this, champ? Leo hesitated for a second, then nodded. Yes, he said firmly, though his voice was still small. Good, Ronaldo said. Pick your team. The sight of a 5-year-old choosing teammates was a strange one. The other players stood around awkwardly, unsure whether to take him seriously or humor him. Leo scanned the group, his small hand pointing at players who looked nimble and quick. He didn't know their names, but he instinctively picked those who seemed agile and sharp-eyed. His choices surprised some, as he bypassed the tallest and strongest players. Ronaldo watched, intrigued. Interesting picks, he commented. Why them? Leo looked up at him, his expression earnest. Because they move like I do, he said simply. Ronaldo chuckled, nodding in approval. Let's see if that strategy works. As the players took their positions on the field, the crowd grew louder. The skeptics were still vocal, their voices cutting through the cheers. This is just for fun, one man said. There's no way a kid can actually compete. Yeah, Ronaldo's going to show him how it's done, another added with a smirk. Leo heard snippets of their conversation, but he didn't let it distract him. Instead, he focused on the ball at the center of the field, his small hands clenched into fists at his sides. This wasn't just a game to him. It was his chance to prove that he belonged. The referee blew the whistle, and the match began. Ronaldo's team immediately took control, their precision passes slicing through Leo's defenders. Ronaldo, of course, led the charge, weaving through the field with the ease of a seasoned pro. He passed the ball to a teammate, who fired a shot at the goal. The keeper on Leo's team dove, barely managing to deflect it. The crowd cheered, the energy palpable. Leo's team struggled to find their rhythm in the opening minutes. His teammates were nervous, uncoordinated, and clearly unused to playing with someone so young. Leo, however, remained calm. He called out to them, his small voice surprisingly commanding. Pass to me, he shouted as the ball came loose. One of his teammates hesitated but complied, sending the ball toward Leo. The boy received it effortlessly, his feet moving in rapid, precise motions. The crowd watched in stunned silence as Leo darted through two defenders, his speed and agility leaving them flat-footed. He approached Ronaldo, who stood waiting. The crowd tensed. This was the moment they had been waiting for. Leo feinted to the left, then darted right. Ronaldo mirrored his movements, his years of experience evident in every step. For a few tense seconds, the two danced around each other, the ball caught in a battle of wits and reflexes. Finally, Leo saw an opening. With a quick flick, he slipped past Ronaldo, sending the ball toward a teammate in the clear. The crowd erupted. Did you see that? Someone shouted. The kid just outmaneuvered Ronaldo. As the game continued, Leo's confidence grew. His teammates began to trust him more, passing the ball his way and relying on his uncanny ability to read the game. Leo directed them with sharp, simple instructions, his vision of the field far beyond his years. Ronaldo, however, wasn't about to be outdone. He stepped up his game, using his physicality and experience to regain control. The match became a back-and-forth battle, each team trading goals in a display of skill and determination. The crowd's skepticism began to melt away, replaced by genuine excitement. This isn't just a cute moment anymore, one commentator said. This boy is holding his own against Ronaldo and his team. This is something special. As the clock ticked down, the score was tied. Ronaldo's team had possession, and the ball was at his feet. He advanced quickly, his eyes scanning the field for an opening. Leo moved to intercept, his small figure dwarfed by Ronaldo's imposing presence. The crowd held its breath as the two faced off once again. Ronaldo smirked, his movements deliberate as he tried to fake Leo out. But the boy stayed focused, watching his every move. Then, with a burst of speed, Leo lunged forward, poking the ball free. He took off down the field, the ball rolling ahead of him like an extension of his own body. His teammates followed, creating a wall of support as they closed in on the goal. Leo reached the edge of the box and looked up. The keeper was ready, his stance wide and imposing. Leo's small frame shifted, his body leaning as if preparing to shoot. The keeper moved to anticipate the strike, but Leo didn't shoot. Instead, he passed the ball to a teammate, who tapped it into the net. The whistle blew, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Leo's team had won. The stadium was electric as Leo's teammates lifted him onto their shoulders. For a moment, the 5-year-old looked overwhelmed, his small hands gripping the shoulders of those carrying him. But then he smiled, a wide, genuine smile that lit up his face. Ronaldo approached, clapping his hands. "Well done, Leo," he said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "You didn't just play, you led. That's something even the best players struggle to do." Leo looked up at him, his face glowing. "Thank you," he said softly. As the crowd continued to cheer, Ronaldo turned to the announcer. "Remember his name," he said, his voice carrying across the field. "Because one day, this boy will be more than just a momentary star. He'll be a legend." And for the first time, no one doubted it. The game continued with an intensity no one had anticipated. Every time Ronaldo tried to assert his dominance, Leo countered with a move that left even the most seasoned spectators in awe. The 5-year-old wasn't just keeping up, he was dictating the pace, forcing Ronaldo to adapt. Ronaldo, known for his competitive spirit, took the challenge seriously now. He began to test Leo with sharper turns, quick passes, and sudden bursts of speed. But Leo, small as he was, stayed calm. His tiny feet seemed to glide over the grass as he intercepted passes and dribbled circles around the defenders. Each time the ball touched his foot, the crowd grew louder, their disbelief turning into full-blown amazement. It wasn't just Leo's raw talent that stood out, it was the way he seemed to think ahead. When Ronaldo feinted left, Leo anticipated the move and darted right, stealing the ball cleanly. When defenders boxed him in, he used clever flicks and spins to escape. He wasn't playing like a child, he was playing like someone who had been on the field for decades. The murmurs in the crowd shifted. "Did you see that pass?" someone exclaimed. "That wasn't just luck. He's reading the game." "Ronaldo's going easy on him," another said, though their voice wavered with uncertainty. But Ronaldo wasn't going easy, not anymore. His jaw was set, his movements sharp and deliberate. For the first time in years, he seemed genuinely challenged. He glanced at Leo, a flicker of respect in his eyes, but also determination. The crowd could sense it too. This wasn't just a friendly game anymore. It was a battle of wills. Leo wasn't just playing to impress the crowd or even Ronaldo. He was playing for something deeper, a chance to prove himself, to show the world that age and size didn't define talent. And with every passing moment, he revealed more of that talent. At one point, Ronaldo launched a long ball across the field, aiming for a teammate positioned near the goal. The pass was perfect, soaring through the air with precision. But before the ball could reach its target, Leo sprinted across the pitch, leaping higher than anyone thought possible for a boy his size. He intercepted the ball mid-flight, his tiny frame twisting as he brought it under control. The crowd erupted in cheers, but Leo didn't stop to bask in the glory. He immediately turned and launched a counter-attack, threading a pass between two defenders to a teammate. The precision, the vision it was something even seasoned players struggled to achieve. As the game progressed, something shifted in the atmosphere. The playful laughter that had filled the air at the start was gone, replaced by a tense, focused energy. Every pair of eyes in the crowd was glued to the field, watching the unfolding duel between the world's greatest player and a boy who should have been out of his depth but wasn't. Ronaldo's teammates, initially dismissive of Leo, began treating him as a real threat. They closed in on him faster, their tackles harder, their movements more deliberate. But Leo didn't flinch. He adapted, finding gaps where none seemed to exist, using his small size to his advantage. "He's fearless," someone in the crowd murmured. And it was true. Even when Ronaldo himself charged toward him, Leo didn't back down. Instead, he stood his ground, using a series of lightning-fast step-overs to keep the ball away before slipping it through Ronaldo's legs again. Despite the competitive edge, there was something unspoken developing between Ronaldo and Leo, a connection built on mutual respect. Ronaldo began to test Leo in more intricate ways, using tricks and strategies he'd honed over his career. And each time, Leo rose to the challenge. At one point, Ronaldo managed to dispossess Leo, sending the ball hurtling down the field. The crowd cheered, sensing a shift in momentum. But before Ronaldo could capitalize, he glanced over his shoulder and saw Leo chasing him down, his little legs pumping furiously. Ronaldo pushed the ball forward, increasing his speed. But Leo was relentless. Just as Ronaldo prepared to shoot, Leo slid in from behind, poking the ball free with a perfectly timed tackle. The crowd gasped, and for a moment, even Ronaldo seemed stunned. He looked down at Leo, who was already back on his feet, the ball under his control. Ronaldo gave a small nod, a gesture of acknowledgement that didn't go unnoticed. As the game continued, Leo's brilliance became more apparent, not just in his physical skills but in his mental approach. He wasn't just reacting, he was orchestrating. He shouted instructions to his teammates, pointing out gaps in the opposing defense. His small voice carried across the field, confident and commanding. One of his passes, a perfectly weighted through ball that bypassed three defenders, left the crowd speechless. The forward on Leo's team collected it and scored effortlessly. Even Ronaldo clapped, shaking his head in disbelief. The commentators couldn't keep up. "This boy," one said, his voice trembling with excitement. "He doesn't just play football, he sees it. He's thinking too, 3 moves ahead." But not everyone was convinced. Among the crowd, whispers of skepticism persisted. "It's just a lucky day," one man said. "No way he can keep this up." Another scoffed. "He's flashy, sure. But Ronaldo's holding back. If he wanted to, he could crush the kid." The words reached Leo's ears, but he didn't let them show on his face. He had heard doubters before, on the playground, in local matches, even in his own father's cautious praise. But this was different. He wasn't just proving himself to the skeptics, he was proving himself to the one person whose opinion truly mattered: Ronaldo. As the final minutes of the game approached, the tension on the field reached its peak. The score was tied, and every play felt like it could be the deciding factor. Ronaldo's team pressed hard, their experience and strength pushing Leo's team to the brink. But Leo, small as he was, refused to let the pressure break him. At one point, Ronaldo launched a blistering shot toward the goal. It was the kind of strike that left goalkeepers frozen. But Leo, positioned perfectly, stepped in and deflected it with his chest. The ball ricocheted off him and into the feet of a teammate, who started a counter-attack. The crowd roared, the sound deafening. Ronaldo ran past Leo, briefly placing a hand on his head, a quick, almost paternal gesture of respect. But there was no time for sentiment. The game wasn't over yet. The intensity on the field was electric, every second ticking by with the weight of anticipation. Leo's every touch of the ball seemed to defy logic, his movements faster, smarter, and more deliberate than anyone could have imagined. As the clock wound down, it became clear that this wasn't just a game, it was a moment of reckoning for everyone watching. Ronaldo's team pushed harder, their years of experience shining through in their crisp passes and strategic positioning. Yet Leo wasn't overwhelmed. Instead, he thrived. Every challenge they threw at him became another opportunity to prove his mettle. At one point, a defender twice Leo's size barreled toward him, aiming to dispossess the young prodigy with a hard tackle. The crowd braced for impact, wincing as the towering player lunged forward. But Leo, as if sensing the move before it happened, executed a flawless crook turn, leaving the defender grasping at empty air. The audience erupted in cheers, their voices a mixture of amazement and disbelief. "He's not just talented," someone shouted. "He's unstoppable." Ronaldo wasn't one to let a challenge go unanswered. Determined to reclaim control of the game, he began orchestrating his team with the precision of a maestro. He directed passes, exploited gaps, and created opportunities that seemed impossible moments before. The legend's experience and skill shone brightly, reminding everyone why he was regarded as one of the greatest players of all time. Yet, no matter how brilliant Ronaldo's plays were, Leo seemed to anticipate them. When Ronaldo sent a perfectly timed cross into the box, Leo was there, leaping higher than anyone else to head the ball clear. When Ronaldo attempted a daring solo run, weaving through defenders with his signature flair, Leo intercepted him with a clean, surgical tackle. Each exchange between the two was met with gasps from the crowd. It wasn't just a match anymore, it was a story unfolding in real time, a story of a boy who dared to challenge a legend and a legend who refused to back down. As the game progressed, whispers began circulating among the spectators. Who was this boy? Where had he come from? His skills weren't just extraordinary, they were almost otherworldly. Some speculated he must have been trained in secret by a world-class coach. Others wondered if he had a photographic memory, able to study and replicate the movements of football's greatest players. One spectator, a former coach, leaned forward, his eyes narrowing as he watched Leo. "It's not just his talent," he murmured. "It's his vision. He sees the game differently, like he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers." On the sidelines, Leo's father watched with a mixture of pride and nervousness. He had always known his son was special, but even he hadn't expected this. "Where did you learn all this?" he muttered under his breath, shaking his head in disbelief. As the game continued, the crowd began to divide into two camps. Some rooted for Ronaldo, urging him to show why he was the greatest, while others found themselves captivated by Leo's story, cheering for the underdog with all their might. "Come on, Ronaldo," someone yelled. "Show him who's boss." But just as quickly, another voice countered, "Are you kidding? Look at the kid. He's a genius." The growing support for Leo seemed to energize him. With every cheer, his movements grew sharper, his confidence more apparent. He wasn't just playing to win, he was playing to earn their respect. With the score still tied, Ronaldo decided to take matters into his own hands. He initiated a breathtaking series of one-touch passes with his teammates, slicing through Leo's defense with surgical precision. The crowd roared as Ronaldo sprinted toward the goal, the ball glued to his feet. But just as he prepared to strike, Leo appeared out of nowhere, sliding in with perfect timing to block the shot. The ball ricocheted off his foot and sailed into the air. The crowd held its breath as Leo leapt up, his small frame silhouetted against the sun, and controlled the ball with a delicate touch. Before anyone could react, Leo was off, darting down the field with a speed and agility that left defenders scrambling. His teammates surged forward, sensing an opportunity, but Leo didn't need them, not this time. Ronaldo, now the last line of defense, stood his ground as Leo approached. The two locked eyes, the weight of the moment palpable. The crowd fell silent, their anticipation almost unbearable. Leo slowed his pace, the ball rolling lazily at his feet. He feinted left, then right, his movements so quick they were almost imperceptible. Ronaldo, ever the master, stayed balanced, refusing to be drawn in. And then, with a flick of his foot, Leo performed a move so audacious it left everyone stunned. Using his heel, he flicked the ball over Ronaldo's head, spinning around him in one fluid motion to collect it on the other side. The crowd erupted, their cheers deafening. Ronaldo turned, a look of pure astonishment on his face. For a moment, he simply stood there, watching as Leo sprinted toward the goal. The boy's confidence was undeniable, his skill unmatched. Leo reached the edge of the box, the goalkeeper rushing out to close the angle. But Leo was already 2 steps ahead. With a calmness that belied his age, he chipped the ball over the keeper's outstretched hands, watching as it sailed into the net. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The crowd was silent, their disbelief tangible. And then, as the reality of what they had just witnessed sank in, the stadium erupted. Cheers, applause, and even tears filled the air as people realized they had just witnessed history. Leo stood there, his small chest rising and falling as he caught his breath. He turned toward the crowd, his face lit with a mixture of pride and relief. For the first time, he allowed himself to smile. As the final whistle blew, players and spectators alike rushed toward Leo. Some clapped him on the back, others shook their heads in amazement, and a few simply stared, still trying to process what they had seen. Ronaldo approached the boy, his expression unreadable. He knelt down, looking Leo directly in the eyes. "You've got something special," he said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "Don't ever lose it." Leo nodded, his confidence unshaken. In that moment, it was clear to everyone watching this wasn't just the story of a boy who had faced off against a legend. It was the beginning of something much bigger. For Leo, the journey was just beginning. And for the world, a new star had been born. The revelation sent a ripple through the crowd. People leaned forward, straining to catch every word as the boy's soft-spoken answer hung in the air. Ronaldo's expression shifted from surprise to something deeper, a mix of pride and realization. "You watch my games?" Ronaldo asked, his voice filled with genuine curiosity. Leo nodded, clutching the ball tightly in his small hands. "Everyone," he said, his voice barely audible over the murmurs in the stands. "I want to play like you." The admission struck a chord not just with Ronaldo but with everyone watching. It was a moment of raw honesty, cutting through the spectacle and reminding everyone of the power of inspiration. Ronaldo stood up, his gaze sweeping across the field and back to Leo. The moment wasn't lost on the crowd, who suddenly felt like they were witnessing something far greater than a simple exhibition match. Ronaldo, the legend, had unknowingly mentored this boy from afar, shaping his style and fueling his passion. And now, the student was standing toe-to-toe with the master. The game wasn't over yet, and everyone knew it. The score remained tied, and the air buzzed with tension. Ronaldo gestured to Leo with a playful smile. "Let's settle this," he said, his competitive spirit shining through. "One last play. You and me." The crowd roared, their excitement palpable. The rules were simple: first to score wins. Leo nodded, his small frame seemingly vibrating with energy. He positioned the ball at midfield, his eyes locked on Ronaldo's. The whistle blew, and the final showdown began. Ronaldo surged forward, his long strides devouring the ground as he closed in on Leo. But the boy was quicker than anyone expected. He flicked the ball to the side, slipping past Ronaldo with a deft touch. The crowd gasped as Leo darted toward the goal, weaving through defenders with an agility that seemed almost superhuman. Ronaldo wasn't far behind. With a burst of speed, he intercepted Leo, positioning himself between the boy and the goal. For a moment, they stood still, facing each other like two chess players contemplating their next move. Then, in a blur of motion, Leo struck. He feinted left, drawing Ronaldo off balance, before spinning to the right with a move so fluid it seemed rehearsed. The ball was back under his control, and the path to the goal was clear. But Ronaldo wasn't finished. Just as Leo wound up for the shot, Ronaldo launched himself into the air, stretching his leg out in a last-ditch effort to block the ball. The stadium fell silent as the ball ricocheted off Ronaldo's foot and flew skyward. Leo didn't hesitate. As the ball descended, he timed his leap perfectly, meeting it mid-air with a stunning scissor kick. The crowd erupted as the ball sailed past the goalkeeper and into the back of the net. For a moment, everything was still. Then, the stadium exploded into applause, the sound reverberating through the air like a thunderclap. Leo landed on his feet, his small chest heaving as he turned to face Ronaldo. Ronaldo walked toward Leo, his hands on his hips and a broad smile lighting up his face. He clapped slowly, the sound deliberate and filled with meaning. When he reached Leo, he extended a hand. "You're unbelievable," Ronaldo said, his voice carrying both admiration and respect. "I played with the best, but you're something else." Leo shook Ronaldo's hand, his face glowing with pride. "Thank you," he said, his voice steady despite the overwhelming moment. Ronaldo wasn't done. He turned to the crowd, raising Leo's arm in the air like a champion. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, his voice booming, "remember this name, Leo. He's the future of football." As the applause thundered on, a man stepped forward from the sidelines. It was Leo's father, his face a mixture of pride and trepidation. Ronaldo noticed him and waved him over. "This is your boy?" Ronaldo asked, and the man nodded, his voice catching as he said, "Yes. He's been watching you since he could walk." Ronaldo's eyebrows raised. "And you're his coach?" The man hesitated. "I taught him a little. But most of what he knows, he learned from watching you. Every move, every game. You're his idol." The weight of the words hit Ronaldo hard. He knelt beside Leo again, looking the boy directly in the eyes. "You remind me of myself when I was your age," he said. "The hunger, the determination, it's all there. But you've got something else too. You've got heart." In a gesture that stunned everyone, Ronaldo took off his jersey and handed it to Leo. "This is for you," he said. "Keep it. And keep playing. The world needs to see what you can do." Tears welled up in Leo's eyes as he clutched the jersey to his chest. The crowd cheered louder than ever, their admiration for the boy now matched by their respect for Ronaldo's humility. As the players left the field, Ronaldo paused at the tunnel, turning back to look at Leo one last time. He raised a fist in the air, a silent nod of approval that spoke volumes. The game was over, but the story was just beginning. Videos of Leo's performance flooded social media, with headlines proclaiming him the next big thing in football. Talent scouts began calling, eager to learn more about the boy who had dared to challenge Ronaldo and succeeded. For Leo, life would never be the same. But as he clutched Ronaldo's jersey that night, he knew one thing for certain: this was just the beginning. The world had seen a glimpse of what he could do, but the best was yet to come. As the players exited the field, reporters and fans swarmed Leo, their questions overlapping in an overwhelming cacophony. "How long have you been playing? Where are you from? What's next for you?" Leo's small voice struggled to cut through the noise. Overwhelmed, he clutched his father's hand, seeking comfort amidst the chaos. Sensing his son's discomfort, Leo's father raised a hand, signaling for quiet. "Please," he said gently. "He's still just a child." The crowd slowly backed off, but their awe didn't diminish. Whispers filled the air. "Can you believe he's only 5? That kid's got the skills of a pro. He's going to change the game forever." Meanwhile, Ronaldo, ever the seasoned professional, addressed the press. "What you saw today wasn't just talent," he said, his voice steady and reflective. It was passion, courage, and dedication. Leo reminded me of why I fell in love with football in the first place. He's not just the future, he's a reminder of what's possible when you dream big. The journalists pressed further. Do you think Leo could become the next Cristiano Ronaldo? Ronaldo shook his head, a knowing smile on his face. Leo doesn't need to be the next me. He's going to be the first Leo. The crowd erupted into cheers, Ronaldo's endorsement carrying weight that no one could ignore. His words didn't just validate Leo's talent, they solidified his place in the world of football. By the next morning, footage of Leo's performance had gone viral. News outlets across the globe covered the story, dubbing him the 5-year-old football prodigy. Social media exploded with praise, comparisons, and speculation. Fans from every corner of the world shared clips of his nutmegs, his interception of Ronaldo's signature bicycle kick, and, of course, the jaw-dropping goal that sealed his victory. What's his story? One commentator asked. Where does this kind of talent come from? It wasn't long before professional clubs began to take notice. Talent scouts flooded Leo's father's phone with calls and emails, each one eager to secure the boy's future. Offers rolled in from top academies, each promising to nurture and refine Leo's undeniable skills. Amidst the frenzy, a small documentary crew managed to secure an interview with Leo and his family. Sitting in their modest living room, the boy who had stunned the world was now just a kid again, his feet dangling off the edge of the couch as he played with a football. Can you tell us how you got so good? The interviewer asked, leaning in with genuine curiosity. Leo looked up, his eyes shining with innocence and excitement. I just love football, he said simply. I watch it every day. I watch Ronaldo and try to do what he does. His father chimed in, his voice filled with pride. Leo started kicking a ball around as soon as he could walk. He's always been different, focused, determined. He doesn't just watch games, he studies them. Every move, every tactic, he remembers it all. Ronaldo, too, couldn't stop thinking about the match. Back at his home, he replayed the moments in his mind, Leo's deft footwork, his composure under pressure, his uncanny ability to read the game. It wasn't just skill, it was intuition, a rare gift that couldn't be taught. I need to do something for him, Ronaldo thought aloud during a conversation with his manager. He has too much potential to let it go unnoticed. It didn't take long for Ronaldo to act. He called Leo's father, offering not just words of encouragement but an invitation. I want Leo to train with me, Ronaldo said. If he's up for it, I'll make sure he gets the guidance he needs. The offer was life-changing. Ronaldo didn't just see a young fan in Leo, he saw a reflection of his younger self, hungry, talented, and ready to take on the world. When the news broke that Ronaldo had taken Leo under his wing, the world went into a frenzy once again. Training sessions with one of football's greatest players? It was the kind of opportunity most kids could only dream of. For Leo, it was the next step in a journey that was only just beginning. The first session took place in a state-of-the-art facility, with cameras rolling to document the momentous occasion. Ronaldo greeted Leo with his signature smile and a firm handshake. Ready to work hard? He asked. Leo nodded, his eyes gleaming with determination. Always, he said. The training was grueling, but Leo never faltered. He absorbed every piece of advice Ronaldo gave him, applying it with the precision of someone far beyond his years. Ronaldo was impressed not just by the boy's talent but by his relentless drive. Over the weeks and months that followed, Leo and Ronaldo formed an unlikely bond. The superstar became both a mentor and a friend, guiding the young prodigy through the challenges of the sport and the pressures of sudden fame. For Leo, the training wasn't just about honing his skills. It was about learning from someone who had walked the path he now found himself on. Ronaldo taught him the importance of discipline, teamwork, and humility, lessons that would shape him both on and off the pitch. For Ronaldo, mentoring Leo reignited his own passion for the game. Seeing the sport through the boy's eyes reminded him of why he had started playing in the first place. Together, they weren't just training, they were rewriting the story of football. Months later, Leo was invited to showcase his skills at an international exhibition match. The world watched with bated breath as the now 6-year-old walked onto the pitch, his confidence shining brighter than ever. Ronaldo stood on the sidelines, cheering him on like a proud coach. Leo didn't disappoint. With every touch of the ball, he reminded the audience why he had become a global sensation. By the end of the match, there was no doubt left in anyone's mind, Leo wasn't just a prodigy. He was a phenomenon. As the final whistle blew, Ronaldo walked onto the field, lifting Leo onto his shoulders. "This," he announced to the roaring crowd, "is the future of football." And in that moment, the torch was passed. As the crowd's cheers continued to reverberate throughout the stadium, a shift occurred. The disbelief and surprise that had once clouded their judgment faded, replaced by a deep respect. Everyone had witnessed something extraordinary, something that no one could deny. The young boy, only 5 years old, had just faced off against one of the greatest players of all time and had left an undeniable mark. Ronaldo gently set Leo down, his large hands patting the boy's back with a smile that seemed to say more than words could express. The love for the game, the passion, and the will to win it was all there in Leo. But more than that, it was Leo's humility and joy that shone through. As the crowd's noise began to settle, Leo found himself at the center of attention in a way he had never expected. Fans crowded the edges of the field, eager for a chance to catch a glimpse of the prodigy, to meet the young boy who had pulled off the impossible. But Leo didn't seem fazed. He sat quietly on the sidelines, clutching the football Ronaldo had handed him, the weight of the moment slowly sinking in. His dad stood nearby, watching with a proud smile as reporters surrounded him for their chance at an interview. "Tell us about your son," one reporter asked, holding a microphone in Leo's father's direction. "What's his secret? How did he become so skilled at such a young age?" Leo's father chuckled softly. "There's no secret," he replied with a calm voice. "He's been playing since he could walk. And it's not just about the physical skill, it's the passion. Leo's love for the game is what's always driven him." Another reporter stepped in, eager to get Leo's perspective. "Leo, you just went head-to-head with Cristiano Ronaldo and scored a goal. How do you feel right now?" For a moment, Leo hesitated. He looked up at his father, then back at the crowd. The lights were bright, and so many people were staring at him. But he just smiled and shrugged a little. "I'm happy," Leo said quietly, his voice small but sincere. "But it's not over. I want to keep playing. I want to get better." His humility struck a chord with the crowd. Here was a 5-year-old who had just played like a professional but was more interested in improving and learning than basking in the spotlight. It was rare to see such maturity in a child so young. And it made everyone believe that Leo wasn't just another viral sensation, he was the real deal. Ronaldo, watching from a distance, couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He had seen countless talented players throughout his career, but there was something different about Leo. It wasn't just his raw talent, it was the way he carried himself. The confidence, the fire, and yet, the humility to understand that his journey had just begun. As he approached Leo, Ronaldo placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're amazing, Leo," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "But remember, talent alone won't take you all the way. It's about the work, the heart, and the will to keep pushing forward. Don't forget that, all right?" Leo nodded solemnly, his young face serious for a moment. "I won't forget," he said. His words were simple, but they held a promise, one that no one doubted he would keep. Ronaldo smiled and ruffled his hair. "Good. Because if anyone can make it to the top, it's you." As the media frenzy began to subside, Leo's life slowly returned to a sense of normalcy, though it was a new normal. The world had seen what he was capable of, and now everyone was watching, waiting for the next step. But Leo wasn't worried about the pressure. He wasn't concerned with the headlines or the fame. For him, football had always been about something more. It was about joy, freedom, and the simple love of the game. The way the ball felt under his feet, the sound it made when it hit the back of the net, and the thrill of playing alongside others who shared his passion, it was these moments that mattered most. With his father's support and guidance, Leo continued to play and train, pushing himself every day to improve. The professional football world, of course, began to notice him more and more. Scouting agencies reached out, eager to bring him into their academies, and clubs from around the world expressed interest in offering him opportunities. But Leo's father remained grounded, knowing that Leo needed time to grow, not just as a player, but as a person. They focused on what was best for him, ensuring that he stayed true to his roots and kept enjoying the sport. His father often said, "The pressure is on the world, not on us. We play because we love the game, not for the applause." Though the spotlight had moved on, the bond between Leo and Ronaldo grew stronger. The two continued to meet and train, with Ronaldo offering advice and helping Leo sharpen his skills. Ronaldo often spoke of how important it was to remain humble, even in the face of fame and success. But as much as Ronaldo had been Leo's mentor, Leo had taught him something, too. The young boy reminded Ronaldo of the purity of the game, the passion, the dedication, and the joy. He reminded him of what it felt like to play without the weight of the world on your shoulders, just for the love of it. When Ronaldo saw Leo on the pitch, dribbling and playing with the kind of joy that only a child could possess, he realized something. The greatest athletes, the ones who truly leave a legacy, don't just win championships or break records. They inspire others to dream, to fall in love with the game. Years passed, and Leo's career progressed. He grew not just physically but mentally and emotionally, always guided by the lessons he had learned from his father and from Ronaldo. By the time he was 10, Leo was already a star on the rise, his talent undeniable. But no matter how many victories he celebrated or how much praise he received, Leo remained grounded. He continued to play with the same fire, the same love for football that had driven him since he was a toddler. Ronaldo continued to check in on him, offering support and guidance. And although their paths had diverged, their bond remained strong. Ronaldo often shared stories of his own journey, of the obstacles he'd overcome and the challenges he faced, always reminding Leo that true greatness came from perseverance. One day, as Leo prepared for another big match, he received a message from Ronaldo. It was short, but it was everything he needed to hear: keep playing. Keep dreaming. You are the future of football. Leo's rise to stardom was a testament to the power of persistence, humility, and the willingness to learn. Despite the doubt and skepticism he had faced at the beginning, the world now knew what he was capable of. His journey had been about more than just proving the doubters wrong. It had been about proving to himself that passion, hard work, and heart could take him anywhere. Ronaldo's faith in him had been the catalyst, but Leo's journey was his own. And as he stepped onto the pitch in front of thousands of fans, no longer a curious 5-year-old but a seasoned player with a world of potential ahead of him, Leo knew one thing for certain: the road ahead would be long, but with hard work, anything was possible. And as the crowd cheered, a smile played across his lips because, for Leo, this was just the beginning. The lights dimmed as the final whistle blew, signaling the end of a day that would forever be etched in the memories of those who witnessed it. The grand stadium, once filled with raucous cheers, slowly quieted, but the echoes of the crowd's admiration lingered in the air. The story of the little boy, Leo, who had taken on the legendary Cristiano Ronaldo, had unfolded like a dream, a story that seemed too surreal to be real, yet it was. It wasn't just a game that had been played that day, it was a moment of truth, a turning point. It was a reminder to everyone, whether young or old, that greatness doesn't come with an age limit. It isn't defined by how many years you've lived, or how many trophies you've won. Greatness is about heart. It's about passion. It's about the willingness to rise, no matter your size, no matter your age, and take on challenges that seem impossible. Leo's journey was never meant to be just a moment. It was the beginning of a new wave, a message that anyone with enough determination, humility, and love for what they do could achieve the extraordinary. For many, this lesson was a wake-up call. The idea that age could be a limitation was shattered. How often do we look at children, or even younger people, and underestimate what they can do? We see them as too small, too inexperienced, or too naive. We see them as little challengers, far from capable of competing with the giants of the world. But what if the true measure of greatness is not in the time spent honing a skill or the years of experience, but in the fire within? What if that fire burns bright from a very young age, and it's only waiting for the right moment to explode? That day, when Leo faced Ronaldo, the world saw that fire. It wasn't just in his football skills, it was in his unshakable confidence. His love for the game wasn't something that could be taught by a coach. It wasn't something that could be molded in training camps or classrooms. It came from his soul, from the very heart of a boy who saw the world as a place full of opportunity. And perhaps the most powerful lesson from that day wasn't just for Leo, but for everyone who watched. It was for those who had doubted, for those who had laughed, and for those who had written him off as just a kid. In those few moments, Leo taught them all what it truly meant to believe in something, to fight for it, and to never let anyone's doubts define what you can do. Ronaldo, one of the greatest players to ever play the game, was left speechless. In his world, where only the most elite and seasoned athletes were worthy of recognition, here was a child who had just played with him as if he were any other opponent. It was as if the football universe had tilted for a moment, reminding everyone that talent and greatness don't follow the rules. They don't wait for permission. They don't ask for a certain age or experience. They just show up. The legend of Ronaldo had been built on years of sacrifice, hard work, and passion. Yet, in a single match with a 5-year-old, that same legend had been shaken. Not because Ronaldo had lost his skills, far from it. He was still a footballing genius. But in that moment, he was reminded of something deeper. That greatness doesn't come from just being the best in the world at a given moment, it comes from the willingness to inspire, to share, and to make others believe in their own potential. Sometimes, the smallest challengers can shake the biggest legends. It's humbling, it's surprising, and it's often what drives the most significant changes in the world. Think about it, many of the world's greatest discoveries, inventions, and achievements came not from the established leaders but from the outsiders, the rebels, the ones who dared to challenge what was believed to be impossible. And that's exactly what Leo did on that field that day. He didn't just challenge Ronaldo, he challenged the very idea of what greatness is supposed to look like. At the core of the story was the passion that burned within Leo. For him, it wasn't about proving others wrong or showing off to the world. It was never about the cameras, the headlines, or the attention. He didn't need to prove anything. He loved football, and that love was enough. That was the fuel that drove him to perform so remarkably, even at such a young age. It's easy to forget the simple things in life, the things that bring us joy without the need for recognition. We live in a world full of competition, deadlines, and constant comparisons. We're told to be the best, to work harder, to be the first, and to never stop moving. But Leo's approach to football was different. His love for the game wasn't tangled in the pressures of achievement or fame. His passion was pure, unfiltered, and powerful. That's the kind of passion that moves mountains. It's the kind of passion that ignites the impossible. When we let go of the need to impress others and simply do what we love, we unlock a strength that's often hidden beneath the surface. Leo didn't just play football. He lived it. And in doing so, he taught us all a lesson about the importance of passion. When passion meets opportunity, even the smallest and youngest among us can change the world. For everyone watching that day, the most profound moment wasn't when Leo scored a goal or blocked Ronaldo's famous bicycle kick. It wasn't about the moves or the skill. It was the belief. The belief in himself, the belief in his ability to take on the greatest, and the belief that he deserved to be there, side by side with Ronaldo. This is the real magic of stories like Leo's. It's not just about raw talent, it's about the belief that you can achieve anything. Without belief, the game is over before it even begins. Without belief, you're already defeated in your own mind. But when belief is added to talent, when you trust in your ability, something incredible happens. The world changes. Your world changes. This is the kind of lesson we all need to remember, especially when we're faced with challenges that seem too big, too difficult, or too impossible. The size of the challenge doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the belief that you can rise to meet it. Like Leo, like the young boy who faced the legend and stood tall in the face of doubt, we all have the power to take on the world. Leo's journey didn't stop that day. It was only just beginning. And though the world had witnessed something extraordinary, the real story wasn't about that one moment. The real story was about what came next. What happened after the applause died down, after the cameras turned off, and after the world moved on to the next headline. The world would continue to watch as Leo grew, as he faced new challenges, and as he proved that the world wasn't just about those who had come before. It was about those who came after. It was about the dreamers, the believers, and the ones who dared to take on the giants. And maybe, just maybe, we all need to think about that. It's not about being the biggest or the strongest, it's about believing that you can do anything, no matter who stands in your way. It's about passion, persistence, and the courage to step into the unknown. It's about the fire that burns inside of you, waiting for its moment to shine. Because, as Leo showed us all, greatness isn't determined by age or experience. It's determined by heart. And when you have that, nothing is impossible. In the end, that's the true message that Leo shared with the world: greatness knows no age. It knows no limits. It only knows the fire inside you that refuses to be extinguished.